What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Angle Up Pursuit YouTube video. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. With me today to talk some overvalued pass catchers is Ben Rolfe. What's up, Ben?
Not much. Looking forward to discussing some interesting situations and some injury-prone players with you today.
Yeah, there's three guys that make your list. Definitely one of the names, which we'll start with, is one I definitely agree with. And that's Mr. Davante Adams from the Green Bay Packers. I know Aaron Rodgers is there. I know that he had 12 double-digit touchdowns last year, but talk to me about Adams and kind of your pessimism around him.
Well, it feels like every year a different Green Bay Packers wide receiver is the guy going into the preseason we're all super excited about. I feel like 2 years ago it was Davante Adams. Last year it was Randall Cobb. Probably if we go back 3 years ago it was Randall Cobb. And something always happens with these two guys that just doesn't make sense. They seem to get in each other's way. They sort of share very similar roles in terms of their kind of that second, third option. They get mixed in with the tight end. I mean, this year they've added Lance Kendricks, they've added Martellus Bennett. Both of them are going to take touches away. Ty Montgomery is going to take receptions out of the backfield. I would also think he's going to line up in the slot when they've got two decent rookie running backs that can come in. I really can't see Davante Adams repeating his 12 touchdowns. I think that's fairly safe to say that he's not going to see double-digit touchdowns again. I think Randall Cobb is going to play a bigger role again this year. I think Jordy's there. And if for people thinking, well, Jordy's injury prone, Jordy being injury prone is as bad for this offense as anything, because teams can just whack these little receivers, Davante Adams and Randall Cobb at the line. When they've got Jordy, they have to consider that deep threat, which the Packers don't have without Jordy. Davante Adams is going to struggle to produce the same level of thing. Bennett is going to be a huge red zone target. I think Lance Kendricks should be a huge red zone target, but we've seen him drop balls in the red zone. So how long that lasts, I'm not sure. And I really think Ty Montgomery out the backfield is going to be a lethal weapon close to the goal line. I'm really interested in this Packers offense. I'm just not interested in Davante Adams. I'd rather draft Randall Cobb at his price than I would Davante Adams.
I'm 1,000% with you. It's lunacy to take him in the second, third round where he's currently going. Randall Cobb the last 2 years before last year when Adams really made his leap was 120 plus targets. Last year he only 80, so 40 less targets. I think he gets a lot closer to that 120 number. I think injuries were a big part of what happened last year. Obviously, Martellus Bennett, like you mentioned, coming in. Ty Montgomery being more of a thing that takes into his looks. And Jordy Nelson's not an injury-prone player. He had one major injury that kept him out for a whole year. But the last 3 years he's played, he's been well over 1,000 yards, basically double-digit touchdowns, has been a top 5 receiver. I don't think that changes unless he has another horrific injury. Aaron Rodgers will get whoever can get the ball. I don't think Davante Adams is very good, and obviously if he peppers them with targets, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns is in the realm of outcomes, but it feels like a very aggressive price to pay for a guy that you can't expect just to do it again just because he did it one time. The next guy on your list, Mr. Donte Moncrief. This is definitely a guy that I've cooled on the past year or two. Definitely battled injuries, definitely becoming more of a guy that obviously when luck plays, the two connect and they get touchdowns, but yardage isn't always there, and he kind of reminds me of a touchdown dependent tight end more than a fantasy monster receiver. Talk to me about some of your concerns around Moncrief.
My concern around Moncrief is that I'm not sure him and Andrew Luck have two good shoulders between them, kind of thing. It's a real concern for me that he's so injury prone. As you said, he's touchdown dependent, much like Davante Adams is touchdown dependent. You're getting him at a much better value. I mean, other touchdown dependent guys that you can kind of talk about are like your Martavis Bryant, your Kelvin Benjamins. They're very touchdown dependent as well. They're a much better value than Davante Adams, but they're probably a little more expensive than Donte Moncrief. The thing I feel kind of safer with is that, barring suspension, I feel like Bryant and Benjamin are going to be weekly players, whereas I feel like Moncrief, he's going to play 1 week, sit a week, play 2 weeks, sit 1 week. That kind of pattern, that's how I feel. He's so injury prone. He's being drafted ahead of Deshaun Jackson, Eric Decker, Randall Cobb, who we spoke about, Corey Coleman, Corey Davis. They're all guys I would rather gamble on than Donte Moncrief. I think he's in a better situation because of his quarterback than those guys, but he's going to play at least a couple of weeks without Andrew Luck. That's if he's healthy to start the year. he needs that kind of safety net, and I really don't think he offers you that. Whereas I think guys like Mike Wallace, Corey Coleman, I really think they're going to get the targets to be better. I think they're going to see close to double-digit targets a game. I think Donte Moncrief is going to see closer to 5-6 targets a game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think if both are playing, there's potential, but there's a big if. A lot of injury questions, and you really need those touchdowns for him to return value, and that's a big question. If you want to talk about injury prone and tight end, or if you want to talk injury prone and touchdown dependent, let's talk about Tyler Eifert. This is a guy that people want to vault into that elite tier behind Jordan Reed, behind Travis Kelce. And, obviously he had 1 year where he had 13 touchdowns, and that's a, real difference maker. That's a guy that helps you win a fantasy championship. At the same time, he's been in the league 4 years. He's one season over 50 catches, one season over, 5 touchdowns. He had 5 touchdowns last year in 8 games. Obviously, looked to be kind of if you do his on pace numbers, he was close to double digits again, but he's very touchdown dependent. He's, injury 2 of the last 3 seasons. He's missed, over half the season. Even in the year where he had 13 touchdowns, he still only played 13 games. The people are really, banking on that upside. And I guess tight end, you can find value later, but man, that is a big risk and a big asking price for a guy that you don't know if he's going to be healthy and really need to score touchdowns when he is.
Yeah, I did my tiers recently, and I actually sort of tiered him and Eric Ebron together as these kind of injury risk, touchdown dependent kind of guys. I actually put them behind the massive group of tight ends of Kyle Rudolph, Delaney Walker, Zach Ertz, Martellus Bennett in standard scoring, your Hunter Henrys, your Austin Hoopers. I put them behind those guys because I kind of like to draft my tight end and just let them get on with it, because they're all so annoying that I kind of just want a guy I can feel safe week to week is going to give me something. And with Tyler Eifert and Eric Ebron, I don't feel that way. Now, the difference is that Eric Ebron is going 124th in drafts. Tyler Eifert is going 64th as the 6th tight end off the board. Now, I have to tell you, if you're the man taking the 6th tight end off the board, if you're taking him before pick 100, you're probably overdrafted the 6th tight end. I really do feel that way, because there is such a mash of guys that are so similar, especially in deeper leagues, that you're not gaining anything by taking these guys. Like, I really don't think you're gaining a huge amount by taking Hunter Henry over Austin Hooper. I don't think you're gaining a huge amount Kyle Rudolph over Zach Ertz. They're all very similar. And for that reason, I'm going to wait as long as I can. I've got a tier of about 8 guys sat there, and I'm just gonna cross them off. And when there's 2 or 3 left, that's when I'm gonna grab my guy. If you're the man taking the 6th tight end, you have overdrafted them. I can almost assure you that come the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say is I think Eifert and Ebron definitely offer upside. Obviously, we've seen it from Eifert. We haven't really seen the touchdowns from Ebron, which is definitely a concern, and I can completely understand why you kind of have them where you do. It's hard for me to put Kelce, to draft anyone but Gronk, Kelce, Jordan Reed, and probably Greg Olsen, Jimmy Graham. Olsen and Graham are kind of in that similar tier, and I'd be fine getting them kind of where Eifert's going. But yeah, I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, for me, me and my brother were doing a draft the other day. We just happened to be on the phone doing a draft, and he said, should I take Tyler Eifert? And I think we were looking at about the 8th, 9th tight end off the board. We were looking at a league where the setup of the league was a 10-team league. It had a couple of flex spots, and it had a super flex spot and all that. But generally, I knew that come week whatever, Cameron Brate, Julius Thomas, guys like that would be sat out. CJ Fidorovich would all be sat out on the waiver wire. I know this league. And I said to him, you've got nothing to lose taking Tyler Eifert. If Tyler Eifert is the monster everyone thinks he can be, this was relatively late in the draft compared to what you would be thinking. If Tyler Eifert is your kind of monster, then brilliant. You have absolutely locked down a monster. And I mean, if he's not, you just drop him and get someone else. Or you have another guy on your bench and you just bring him in when you're not sure. The frustration with Tyler Eifert is you can't own a second tight end, because 1 week he's going to be a 3-touchdown, 2-touchdown kind of guy. The next week he's going to do nothing for you, and it's going to drive you absolutely insane.
Yeah, so in leagues where the bench is gonna, or the waiver wire is gonna be full of guys like Cameron Bray, like C.J. Fedorowicz, like Julius Thomas. I don't hate the idea of taking him. I still want to wait another, round or two, probably like 8th, 9th round. I think is kind of where I'd be comfortable taking him. And if he's there, obviously it's worth the gamble at that point because the touchdown upside is real. At the same time, if you know you're in a deeper league, if you know you're going to need a little more security, or you just want to take better receivers and running backs in that range and grab your tight end later, like I completely get it. But yeah, I think what you're paying to get him versus what he's probably going to provide you is just too high, and that's not something I could do. Thanks again, Ben, for joining us. Make sure you are checking out the rest of our videos on the YouTube page. Also, head over to iTunes, rate and review the podcast 5 stars. It really does a lot to help us. And thanks again for listening, and we'll talk to you guys down the road.